What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Becoming a 5-Star Stylist. My name is Robert Alexander, a 15-year hair professional. If this is your first time viewing me, seeing me, hello, welcome. The purpose of this podcast is to inspire hairstylists who have been in the industry a while, brand new stylists who are out of school, aspiring hairstylists, everyone who wants to double down and be more motivated in this industry. It's highly saturated, and there are so many people who don't recognize their potential or the potential to have a nice slice of this I don't know why I want to say $1 trillion industry. But if it isn't in the trillions yet, it very well will be one day. But even getting a slice of this multi-billion-dollar pie is within reach, and I am very passionate about everyone getting a slice of autonomy so that we can live a life that is not only about working. That being said, I got out of my groove. I was posting consistently every week. But with the holiday season and everything happening in my life, I just got out of my groove. But this is the perfect episode to get things started again. And I want to talk about the 5 types of days that business owners / entrepreneurs have and the importance of each of those days. So I'll start with the question: if every day for the next 365 days was like today, what type of year would you have? So the very first day I want to talk about is the hustle day. So hustle days are packed with productivity, energy, and high output. They often involve back-to-back clients, meetings, or major content creation. I'll just use the example of being a hairstylist, but you can apply this to whatever you do for a living as well. So for me, a hustle day is 1 hour blocks back to back to back to back to back. And I'm someone who does well under pressure, so I typically execute, but there's an element of stress and cortisol running through my veins as I'm executing this day. I'm on my toes the entire time, and I am making sure that I am strategically executing everything. It's almost like an intense game of Tetris. I'm trying to make sure everything fits in its place so that no one is waiting too long, everyone is satisfied with their results, and I'm out of the door without being delayed too much that day. The pros to this is it builds momentum and income, provides a sense of accomplishment and purpose, and creates progress towards long-term goals. Hustle days are those days where the money is coming. I don't even have to think about it. I am just working. The money is flowing like water, and I'm doing my best work because I'm so immersed in my passion. The pros to this means that it can lead to burnout. So a week of that type of work is sustainable. A month of that type of work is a bit stressful, but sustainable. But 6 months to 12 months of nonstop hustle days leads to burnout. It leads to you neglecting your personal care, your self-care. And there have been times where I didn't eat lunch because there's no time to eat lunch. We got to get the money. And the point is, there are pros and cons to this type of day. Certainly, at the end of the day, you have a phenomenal bottom line because you've worked your butt off. But with that being said, the other facets of your life have most likely suffered. Number 2 is the lazy day. So lazy days, whether they're intentional or unintentional, are days of rest and minimal activity. These days are spent recharging, reflecting, and indulging in personal relaxation. It probably goes without saying, but these days are phenomenal, especially in contrast to the hustle days, because these are days where you get to relax and you get to rest. And the difficult thing for me when I am transitioning from a hustle day to a lazy day is that I feel very unproductive. So let's just start with the pros first. They're essential for mental health and creativity. They help prevent burnout, and they provide clarity for future decisions. So that being said, when you're hustling, when you're going hard, you don't have much time to think. You're in action mode. But when you get to sit down and let your body rest, the mind gets to flow. The mind gets to strategize and say, okay, I'm working harder, but how can I work smarter? And so that's a major benefit to having a lazy day. Some of the cons are that they can trigger guilt and feelings of inadequacy if they aren't embraced. So for me, I've started scheduling days where I do nothing. And these days were very difficult for me initially because I like to be productive and I didn't find the benefit in doing nothing. I'm like, this is a day wasted. But then I realized, and I'm realizing as you're hearing this message, that it's also important that I have relationship. It's also important that I treat myself, whether it's just getting a manicure or just deep conditioning my hair, spending time with my family. There's a benefit to all of these things. And so you're not making money on lazy days, but the other currency in life is love and satisfaction and warmth, and you get to recharge your battery. As much as I love nice things and I love to make money, there is nothing like when I get to sit in a room with my family and just laugh and enjoy one another's presence, make fun of each other, joke around. That you cannot put a price on that. However, if every day was like that, we would all be huddled in a circle with no money. So we got to go to work, you know? Which brings me to number 3, which is family and friends days. These days are dedicated to nurturing personal relationships. They involve quality time with loved ones, celebrations, or casual social activities. Some of the pros to this are that they strengthen emotional connections and support systems. And I just want to stay on that for a second. For me, I'm someone who typically deals with everything on my own. And even though I've always had family, I live in the city I was born in, I had gotten so accustomed to handling things on my own that I didn't even realize that family was a resource. And that may sound crazy, but the more I spend time with my family, I recognize I can actually talk to them. Everyone, from my older relatives to my younger ones, everyone has a perspective and something to offer. And so if I am not dedicating and giving time to spend time with my family, I don't get to realize, A, that these are important relationships and that they have to grow. I'm someone that doesn't believe that anything stays the same. It either grows or it shrinks. And so to be around my family and notice and realize these relationships are growing, from my little baby nieces and nephew to my parents. As I grow, we get to have conversations where I'm showing up as this new version, this evolved version of myself, and the conversations change every single time. And it's not so much about that as it is that just as much as it is important to grow in business, it's important to grow in life in every facet of it. And so these family days, they also act as a reminder of your why beyond work. And so for me growing up, I never complained about it, but my family was not able to provide everything. For example, I was extremely passionate about playing piano, and I'm sure that I would have done incredibly well if I was in a piano class. And so now that I'm an adult, it's very important to me to have autonomy. I want freedom. And if I ever have children, I want to give them access to everything that they're interested in, to determine that they love it or determine that they hate it. But it's important to me that we're able to explore life fully, because work is just one small part of it. Granted, it's the vehicle. It's how we are able to create the life that we want. It's not about the money as much as it's about the freedom to do, to see, to choose, to experience. And so when I see my family, specifically the little babies in my family, I want to be a change maker in my family. And when I see them and they're so beautiful, I want to be able to give them every single thing that they desire. And I don't frame that as a negative. I don't frame that as spoiling or anything like that, but I frame it as nurturing. And that's a huge part of it. So that's a big part of my why. And that's why I love being around my family so much. It also offers a break from the grind after often recharging your spirit. So we kind of talked about that already. Um, Family specifically charges my battery like nothing else, and it's why I love it so much. The cons, and I don't necessarily even want to call it cons, but it can feel like a distraction if business priorities are looming. And this is why everything needs to be organized. It's not quality time with family if you're scrolling through your phone and making sure you're answering emails. You're just doing business work in their face. And that's another thing that I've been conscious of. Okay, sorry. I got interrupted because I had an image printed. I really need to put this in a frame as soon as possible. But this is Sasha Lane, who is wearing Bottega head to toe. And she was one of the features at the Bottega show here in Detroit, and her hair was styled by me. Huge moment in my career, and I wanted to have that printed out. I'm gonna frame it, but she just hand delivered that. Shout out to Rose Hole. I think I'm saying her last name correctly. But with that being said, let's get back to it. So what I was saying is that my mom would always say like how rude it is to be on the phone. And I'm just like, you don't understand. I am a millennial. We are multitaskers. But but no, it's not genuine. It's not quality time in being in their faces and doing business work. And so being able to separate the two of those things is ultimately what I'm getting at right now. Being able to turn the phones off and recognize that and recognize that it's impossible to be a genie for all of these different clients. There has to be a line, there has to be a boundary. I also have to kind of segue into a realization that I'm having. Creating a program, the 5-Star Stylist, emphasizes the importance of being quality in your customer service experience of your business. And doing this has made me revise my own approaches. Yes, I've been getting 5-star reviews for years and years. However, the amount of stress, the amount of accommodating that I've been doing has worn me out. And then it hit me, I can say no and still be a 5-star stylist. I don't have to overgive to be viewed as valuable anymore. But that's a whole nother topic. But the point is, now that I've set that boundary, I don't have to say yes to everyone, and I don't have to show up for everyone immediately. I'm not saving lives. I'm just doing hair. This is not emergency work. So being able to separate the two has offered me time with my family, time with myself, time to foster new relationships. And in 2024, I had made so many friends, which they often say how difficult that is to do in your adult years, but I've made many, many new friends. So that being said, I'm trying to view it as, I can't really say con. There's not a con to it, but to stick to the context of this episode, if every day was like that, again, it's just, for me, the vehicle is work, making my money. It's important to me. And so if every day was like that, we wouldn't be able to afford everything that we like in our lives. Number 4 is slow days. So these are unpredictable, quiet days when work or appointments slow down. They offer opportunities to pivot, to reflect, or focus on low stakes tasks. So for me, that means tidying up my area, taking all the products off of my shelves and cleaning those shelves, dusting, just every little thing, re-steaming my curtains, spraying some fragrance. You know, when we're hustling, there's no time for any of that. There is hair everywhere. It looks crazy. And to take it a step further, I have slowed down for the past 2 weeks because the holiday season has passed. I took the first week of the year off, and it allowed me perspective to see for myself that to form new habits and to even start reading the book Atomic Habits again, which is a phenomenal book. It's allowed me some time to form new habits in the sense that when I take something out, I'm going to put it away. And I'm going to take the time that it takes to do so that at the end of the day, my studio doesn't look like a kid's playroom with products from previous services everywhere. And so, slow days and slow time and downtime, as much as we despise it sometimes, everything is for the greatest good. And when things are slow, it's time for us to re strategize, to look at what we can do, to look at how we can serve the clients that we do have, even if we aspire to have more clients. So, there's always an opportunity to grow. And so, this is why I value those slow days. But the cons to these slow days can make you feel unsettled, especially if they're unexpected or frequent. Another thing is they can tempt you to waste time without structure. And so some of these slow days, I just go and talk to my colleagues. I'll talk on the phone, I'll do nothing. And I love it. I honestly do. I get to go and chit chat. I get to go and just not be so responsible and so rigid and so hustle, hustle, hustle. Because that's my nature, to hustle. But I'll also say, for me personally, being 15 years in the game, I'm recognizing and embracing the shift, because I'm not a new starving artist in the way that I was 15, 10 years ago, even 5 years ago. And so I don't have to hustle and say yes to everything in the ways that I used to anymore. So just embracing the play is something that I was able to not only recognize but embrace during these slow days. And so if every year was like this, if every day was like this, what kind of year would I have? Again, there would be no money. There would be, I would not be able to keep the workspace that I have, or the car that I drive, or the place that I live. However, the reason that I'm bringing all of this up is because each day matters. And just as much as a hustle day has its pros and its cons, so do the slow days. So moving forward, day number 5 is an admin day. And so this focuses on the behind the scenes work like emails, scheduling, inventory, and finance. The pros to this are that it keeps your business organized and running smoothly. And so to that, if you're in a position where you have a lot of inquiries, admin days are important to respond to your emails. It's also important to, similarly to number 4, those slow days. But the difference between a slow day and an admin day is admin days are designated time for your business, for the structure of your business. That being said, admin days are days where I look at my numbers, but I have a goal of making a certain number at the end of my year. And so admin days are the days where I get to strategize and say, okay, this is what I'm going to make a year. This is what I need to make a month. In order to make this a month, I need to make this per week, dividing it into just 4 weeks. And in order to do that, I need to divide it into 4 days, because I personally work 4 days a week. And then I need to divide that into the hours that I work each day. And that's how I determine what my pricing is, etc. That being said, that's not passive information. That's not something I just decide on a whim. I had to sit down and look at my numbers and strategize. And that's the importance of those admin days. It's also an opportunity to look at, oh, I had all these new clients and these clients came back, but these clients didn't come back. I wonder why that is. And it's not necessarily always a bad thing. Sometimes it's just not a match. Whatever the reason is, admin days are when you get to look at the logistics of your business, how it's running, how we can improve, how we can even recognize, oh, maybe I've been doing this service and it actually is costing me money, especially when it comes to my goals. For example, last year I decided to start doing quick weaves. And after doing a couple of them, I recognized that the amount of time versus the price point was a waste of my money and my time, because I can make more money with an hour slot just doing a haircut. So admin days are important for that reason. I used to say, and it's a Drake quote, I guess you lose some and win some as long as the outcome is income. And that's reckless. We don't live like that anymore. The outcome, yes, should be income, but let's strategize and make sure that it really is income, because just because the money is in the hand does not always mean that it equates to you actually profiting, especially when you have business expenses. You have to buy products, you have to source hair, you have to pay rent, and all of these things. So it's a question of if you're thriving or if you're surviving. So that's the importance of those admin days. And I guess if every day was an admin day, and let's think about it as strategizing. Let's think about admin days as reading books, watching YouTube videos, thinking about what you could do. If every single year was like an admin day, there would be no action days. And that's equally important, because we can think and theorize all day long, but until the rubber hits the road, you have no idea how you'll actually react in real life. You have no idea what you're actually made of. It's like those people who always give advice to you and they've never walked a mile in your shoes. And I've even done it myself, so it's funny to say it out loud. But unless you're actually living it, you can only be so insightful. And so, just to recap, if every day is a hustle day, you'll make a lot of money, but you'll be burnt out. You'll be exhausted. The quality of your work may not be sustainable, and you could lose it all. If every day was like a lazy day, you would be well rested, but you might have regressed in your talents. You may have regressed in your business acumen. So it's important to have some lazy days. However, every day being a lazy day is not going to give you a life that you want, unless it does. And if that's the case, why are we here? If every day is a family and friends day, that's phenomenal. But I think it speaks again to, what does business look like if every day is a family friend and friends day, especially if you do it properly? Because if I'm with my family and my friends, then the business mind is off. So I am completely neglecting my business, therefore it could suffer. If every day is like a slow day, again, there's tons and tons of play, there's tons of strategizing, there's tons of thinking, there's tons of cleaning. But if every day was a slow day, that means that something's going on with the business. It's an implication that there are gaps in the quality of some part of your business. So if every day is a slow day, it's an indicator that something needs to be corrected. And once again, if every day was an admin day, you could have what could be perceived as a phenomenal plan, but until you put it to action, you're not able to actually see what will and won't work. So, for example, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to market microlinks, and I'm going to give people $200 off to get them in the door, and I'm going to introduce that to them, and then they're going to fall in love with microlinks. And once there's so much demand, I'm going to raise the price of that. It all sounds great. It all sounds phenomenal. But until you actually do it and realize that you don't know how to blend the hair properly. You don't know how to match people's density, or you don't know how to texture match. You don't know how to style. There are all these different things that could come up, and until you actually start your plan, you'll never know what you're capable of, or where the holes are in your strategy. So that being said, if every day this year was like today, what type of year would you have? I don't think there's a perfect answer to that. However, I think that this episode offers an opportunity to give yourself grace, because there's no perfect type of day to have 365 days. It's about balance. It's about having those lazy days. It's about spending time with your family and your friends so that you can recharge. It's about hustling your butt off sometimes, especially when you have a short-term goal like a trip. It's about those admin days, because there's nothing like making sure that your machine is running smoothly. Admin days are like getting oil changes and tire rotations for your business. And there's nothing like you know what? I'm not going to say it's nothing like a slow day. However, if it happens, let a slow day be an indicator that there's an opportunity to make a shift in your business. And you don't have to continually have slow days. So everything teaches. Like I said in the last episode, there are push days and pull days, and everything teaches. That being said, enjoy it all, learn from it, and continue to grow. Thank you guys so much for listening. This episode was a little bit longer than normal, but I hope that you benefited from it. If you are interested in discussing this more, comment below if you're on YouTube, comment below if you're on the podcast app. I love to talk. And if you're interested in joining my 5-star stylist program, the link will be posted below.